You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville. Welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville. This week we have Tom Costantino. Tom is co-producer of The Orville New Horizons, and he's worked on 911, One Mississippi with Tig Notaro, Bull, Heroes Reborn, American Ninja Warrior, and much, much more. We're going to discuss Tom's fandom, his background as an editor and producer, and what to look forward to in the Orville New Horizons. My name is Mike Richards.
And I'm Mike Richards. Mission Log the Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. Share your thoughts and ideas and tell us what we missed at _the Orville at Twitter, Mission Log Pod on Facebook, or you can email us at missionlog-theorville@roddenberry.com. And if you're watching this on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, please hit like and subscribe. And remember, we may use your comments on an upcoming episode. Wait, Tom, my friend is the showrunner for the junior version of American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, no way. Who?
Jason Wynn. I always say his name.
Well, my neighbor and also former showrunner Anthony Storm probably knows them well because
I'm sure that's true. It's like you can't know every single person that works on every project, but I didn't know that you worked on that, so that's so cool.
For a brief time I worked. I've done a lot of unscripted stuff, and I did a little bit of work on them for two, might have been 3 seasons total. You know how the seasons blend, but
yes.
I worked on like a lot of the packages, the backstory packages, which was sort of like that thing.
So you're dealing with the human interest
Yeah,
story.
exactly.
So you're still telling story. You gotta make sure someone cries, and you gotta interview the grandma. So that is actually great story development.
Yeah,
that's
it was
awesome.
fun. There's some people who are like really good at doing the runs. I am, the runs are good, but I like the little doc. That's my background, documentary. So.
We loved Ninja Warrior. When you were a kid, the Japanese version of it, when the kids were 2 and 3 years old, just toddling around the house, we would set up obstacle courses and just have a ton of fun with it. Oh, seriously, when it was on G4 back in the day. And then more recently than that, American Ninja Warrior. So it's great. We did actually watch that show.
I will 1,000% tell Anthony that this weekend.
and he's gonna be like, "This is why I do it, man.
This is why I do it." So I heard you're a New Yorker. I'm kind of a New Yorker. I'm a Long Islander. Are you? Is that true that I heard that you're from New York?
I am a New Yorker. You are also a New Yorker. I don't like when Long Islanders don't call themselves New Yorkers. It's the thing. I'm the opposite.
It's more the opposite. Like if I say I'm a New Yorker and they say where are you from and I say Long Island, they usually kind of give me the hand wave.
I'm going to be fair and say I don't ever say that I was born in the Valley. I just say I'm from Los Angeles, because the second I say the Valley, OG Los Angeles, people will be like, that's not Los Angeles.
That's like a real thing. We're in the Valley.
It's the Valley is Los Angeles County, and you're mean if you're trying to gatekeep me from claiming Los Angeles.
I'm not. No,
not you.
I like the Valley. Oh no, I like the Valley, and I get, what for it. Shuttle bay doors for it. That's ridiculous. I'm a guy. I'm a New Yorker, too. I mean, it's like it'd be like us knocking Jersey, which I also happen to like. So people can, which I also lived in for a while. So
and my family's my dad's side of the family's from there. So
And it seems like between Scott Grimes, yourself, and Seth, you got the tri-state area covered.
We got the whole tri-state area. We're all just lost transplants out here in the West.
So WPIX, Channel 11, Star Trek every day. Where'd your fandom come from?
Yep. With the I'm going to age myself. With the Domino's Pizza.
Oh.
I think it used to be around 5 o'clock. They used to play. It on Pix. Yeah, like around 5. I used to watch it all summer. I'd eat pizza, and I would watch the reruns in the air conditioning because it was 179 degrees, humidity, and that's kind of where my fandom came from mainly. I mean, obviously there's the Star Wars all portion of that. I mean, like I said, I'm aging myself, but my grandfather did take me to go see it in the theater, kind of thing, Star Trek was TV. I was already a fan before the motion picture came out. I mean, I was young, but very young. But
I was gonna say you got a handsome baby face thing going on. So even if you age, men get this good rap where you age well. and
it's all on the inside.
Well, believe it or not,
the stress
really
and the
is.
cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
believe
You
it
don't want to see this is not as good as
There's a
whatever's
reason
left
the
of this.
framing is from your chest out.
Yeah,
I got it.
exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
believe it or not, though, you wouldn't believe it with your full head of hair and boyish good looks, but we're about the same age. So when you said you aged yourself, you didn't age yourself more than me. I'm about.
I guess
I'm
we're
a few- a
both
few
hitting on
years
you,
older.
Tom. I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine. Hey, well, you're both local, so let's meet up.
What's
after.
up?
Good deal. We can
Sounds
we can hang out, man. Why do you got to put everything in a box?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So you had Star Wars, Star Trek, just same
Buck
year.
Rogers. No, I'm very much down the road. I mean, a lot of people were comic book fans, and unfortunately, I don't know why I never got into comic books. I mean, I got handed a few, but my dad was like a real he was like old Buck Rogers nerd, and like Planet of the Apes and those kind of, like, I had the old Planet of the Apes tree set kit.
Sure.
So it was ingrained into me sci-fi. We'd watch the $6 Million Man together. He'd let me stay up once in a while past 7:00, and when the big black tank or Sasquatch would come, I'd get scared and I'd run upstairs. But that's sort of like my orientation. So I'm like a 70s, 80s movies and TVs sci-fi nerd, and that's where whatever cred or any sort of fandom comes from for me.
I would say my dad got me into. Well, I know I've talked about it. My dad definitely. Him and I would watch Star Trek reruns at 1 a.m.
You would?
Oh my God, that's where I get my entrance. And he was also a huge Star Wars fan.
Right.
I'm named after Lady Jessica from Dune, so I had all this.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was pushed into it, whether I could help it or not. I played Star Wars cards, and I was still in that era when it wasn't cool, and everyone's like, no way girls are into it. But I also, anyway, I didn't experience that.
But which, at 1 a.m, was it? It must have been regular Star Trek, right? It wasn't.
It was original series, because
yeah, I was saying.
Because he wasn't into the Next Generation. I ended up having to watch the Next Generation in order to do an improvised show in the style of it.
Whoa.
And I know. And it's awesome. And I was afraid to watch it because I didn't want anything to replace Kirk in my heart. And I couldn't imagine that Picard would be as good. And then you just realize Picard's just a mature Kirk,
That's exactly how he was written to begin with.
And it was that Riker, Riker's just the sexy Kirk, if you think he's sexy. And Picard is like, I used to be an angry man, and now I'm cool, calm and collected.
Frakes is a good-looking man.
I'm not. So, I'm just saying maybe not.
I know
it's
him
not my
personally.
preference.
I can't.
You can't.
I wouldn't anyway. He was on my bucket list, so I wouldn't politically, but also saying this, truthfully, yeah, he's a good-looking guy. The energy is great too.
I've hurt people's feelings when I say that he's not the first one I would go
No,
for.
I get that.
But I
You
just have to
hurt
be
my
honest.
feelings when you said that. We talked about that earlier on the show.
That's what I'm remembering now.
Oh, please. No one got a little whoa, look at that. When they stripped him naked in Chain of Command, it was like, look at that guy's ripped.
Well, now, and that's when things change. You're like, oh, I see them in a new light.
Why?
And
Exactly.
But we all asked why. We all asked why he was wearing a sweater under that silk skirt, silk shirt.
And Deanna Troy does a lot of heavy lifting by liking him too. Let's just be honest. So that's just my opinion. But the reason why I'm giving that background is, so your dad must have been into Buck Rogers then, or Flash Gordon? What was he doing? How did he start out to be a sci-fi guy?
Well, ironically enough, never asked him. I just took it for granted. He's no longer with us, or I'd call him and find out. But he, my mom was supportive too, by the way. I think they were both. There is one story about them. They got married, and they wrapped up their wedding early to watch an episode of Star Trek. I think it was either premiering, the second season was premiering or something. I got to get the details, but they remember because it was cold. It was snowing, and they went home and just watched. I'll get the details. I wish I knew you were going to ask me this. I would have figured out exactly what episode, because I think it was the second season. But yeah, so they obviously had it in their blood. And I used to take the weekend trips, back when a middle class lifestyle would support this. They used to do the Toys R Us runs with my parents, and I would go out. No, like when the new like if the Y-wing would come out or something, like I would like want to go, or they were like running new stuff from like Empire Strikes Back. I mean, like going down the Star Wars aisle or the GI Joe aisle, which is my other obsession.
Oh my gosh, I
I
love
spent
that.
hours in there picking the thing, and eventually bring home the toy. I mean, I had everything, and then stupidly not realizing how valuable they would be, I filmed them with a VHS camera, lit them on fire because we didn't have special effects back then. So the special effect was if you want to make a laser blast and make the ad on fire, you would light it on fire, but then the melted plastic would go into your brain, and then you don't have a toy after. So,
do you have those videos still?
I do somewhere. I have
That's
a couple
awesome.
of them. I have to dig them up.
We have to share those.
If someone has a VHS converter, I at least have the one that I've mentioned before. I have the one where I spliced in the Moonraker footage.
I literally was doing this. I was moving all of my VHS to digital so that I can keep it. So I can do this for you.
I might ask you.
Honest to God, I'd be happy to, because I also have to watch it while I have the VHS sitting. No one else in LA has this right now. I'd be happy to do it. I spent like $60 on a dongle. It was great.
Oh my God, really? It's probably reruns of SNL and then those movies. That's probably what it is.
I'm happy to do that because also you can't get full episodes unless you buy some sort of package of SNL.
No way.
So then if you're making those videos at that age, that must have been a precursor, obviously, to filmmaking, TV, that entrance into it. When did you go, editing, or like, do you feel like you're doing your heart's songs work right now?
Yeah. I sort of realized I had to do something with my hands, and I used to draw. I mean, not like Seth or like I was a half decent artist. But I would always make things, or like I'd use in college, like when I do projects, I was like very handy with an X-Acto blade. That sounds weirder than I mean, but I know
would exactly what you mean.
For art projects or photo projects, they wouldn't just be photos all the time. They would be actual like dioramas and things. And
wow.
That actually, my first job was in advertising. My first real job was in advertising, so that became useful because I worked in the in-house business department. But I edited a couple videos with my friend Miles, who was from high school. We used to run around high school and do like comedy running videos and stuff. But it was really college that actually the first person to help me edit was the stage manager of David Letterman, whose mom lived next door to us.
That goes right into our notes, man. I was going to ask you a little bit about Ithaca College. Is that correct? In upstate New York.
My God, wow. You did your homework.
He's the dude. He's the man.
Yeah.
And this gentleman that you just mentioned, friend, mentor,
no, actually, not a mentor, a neighbor. B. Samaha, I hope I'm getting this right. She was our next door neighbor in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn for years. Lovely woman. We used to play hide and seek around her house. I think my sister accidentally broke her window with a baseball once, but we got to know the whole family. But Jeff, who I don't think he was David Letterman's guy, but he didn't go to CBS because he had such a good mention with NBC. This is super minutia.
Insider baseball.
But he was David Letterman's stage manager for all of late night, and he knew a lot about production, and so he would see me around with the video camera, and then I started doing it in high school, and he would have me over, and he'd teach me how to edit VHS to VHS, and that's where I got my first taste of it. I know it's really random, but that's I probably have that Miles jumping around video too. Once I got to Ithaca College, and there was a reel-to-reel, like a Sony 900 machine, and I was part of the college TV station. That's when I got into editing.
What do you like about it? I know this is such a stupid question, but
no, it can be. It's actually it's open enough that it's easy to answer. I like being able to sort of move the pieces around and be able to push something beyond what was originally created. I think that's the fun of editing, is that kind of like production. I'm not knocking production. Production is impossible, but production feels like you're grabbing the money in the money box, right? You do the best you can. You don't get every dollar, and now you got to walk it back and count it and get it to a certain amount, and that's my job to put it into neat stacks, and also try and figure out how to reconfigure the money to make it stretch to be the money you were originally intending it to be.
So it's like problem solving. I'm so sorry, Mike, but it's like problem solving. And then when you're like, oh, I can't believe these two shots lined up and they shouldn't have, there's like a little bit of an elation that happens.
And I probably have some kind of savior complex too. So
reminds me of an adage. Reminds me of an adage that I heard that, a director kind of has the most impact on a feature length film. But the editor has the most impact on a television show. Is that sort of an accurate statement?
It is in some ways, but I also think feature editors, I mean, they are heavily involved, and now that like a lot of television has moved into streaming,
it's so blurry right now. Yeah,
the editor they're assuming of more of a feature role, like kind of like what I do on the Orville, and I have friends who work on other shows where they're more involved in color, they're more involved in ADR, they're on set more. It's much more symbiotic in that way. So because as TV and cinema are sort of merging in their production value. You do have a lot of control, but it's either a director's medium or a showrunner's medium, and you're here to serve that vision, and you do the best you can.
So then it seems like this is something that we're really getting a great sense of now, interviewing so many of you guys from behind the scenes. Is the harmony, even whether you disagree or not, but the symbiotic nature that you're talking about. Not every set can say that you also like working with those people or that you can communicate. But it seems like the Orville's success can be contributed in some ways to not only you all being experts in your field, but liking working with each other and being able to work closely and enjoyably.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time together. So, more electronically now than in person, but for a long time we were all crammed in rooms or sets and things together in person. So, we can joke and, we can say we're a dysfunctional family, but it's not even secretly. Like we all are here to sort of make something we love, and the boss loves this thing more than, his passion makes us want to do our best, and also smart. I mean, I'm not saying this because you might hear it. The man is the sharpest man I know.
So
nothing gets past him.
So you
want to make it great.
Unsolicited, all three of you that have guested have said how smart he is, which is fantastic.
Well, he is.
Yeah,
he is. The guy's talented as hell, and and he's also he's a bit of a rebel. I mean that as a compliment too. Like he does what he wants to do and how he wants to do it, and that's the most successful and the most creative, talented people are the ones who sort of take other people's opinions and also like make a collaborative process, but also make sure that the content's protected.
And knows how to make a decision too. I find leadership is great when you go, this is the choice, and I'll apologize for it later if we screwed up.
Yeah,
I love
it. He's fully capable of going, you know what, that wasn't the best.
Yeah. Which is like that's what I think good leadership. That's my kind of leadership. That's what I'm saying. It's like someone who can go, but in retrospect, sometimes you just need someone to make a call.
Yeah. Well, I didn't stick around for 6 years because this was a boring job.
Yeah. Sure. So I love the fact that all three of you guys have brought that up, and it's gonna feed into maybe a few more questions that I have for you later on. But
I'm having a hair issue. So
oh, it's all right. Hey,
that's all I do is touch my hair.
Yeah, at least you got the hair issues to have. So good for you.
Oh, please, barely. Here, let's not. The lights. Let's not do that.
It's very flattering.
So you've made a move lately from editor to co-producer. Has that changed life for you in any way? Are you the guy in the money box now? Somewhat.
No, I'm still cutting. It's just I have a lot of other roles on the show, some defined, some undefined. So they were lovely enough to recognize it with a proper title, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. But no, I mean, I'm on set. I'm not in the DJ or anything, but I'm like. Either like Howard, our one of our executive producers, and UPM, and John Cassar, our producing director. Like there's a complicated shoot going on. They like to have me around, along with some of the effects team. So there's a whole bunch of things to be done. But no, I do like producing. It's nice to not always be in the chair, but editing is my first love, and it's not like I'm ever going to stop cutting. But I don't do it alone. I want to say this is that. this year and last year to some degree is that I had an editing team that of mine and Bart, Kevin, and Hillary, all amazing editors. So we all worked in tandem together. So I'm not just the guy cutting the show. They are equally responsible for everything we've done here.
So how are things, just kind of a 41,000 foot just general overview? How are things organized, kind of from not really an org chart, but maybe just sort of a cultural standpoint, from Seth to the producers to the executive producers to the other producers down to the sort of rank and file workers? Howard, just sort of an overview of how things are organized.
Well, the writers and Seth, they gestate the show, and they were kind of a streaming show before we were a streaming show. They acted like a streaming show. And I mean, and the best way is that we knew we had the scripts before we shot, or at least most of the scripts before we shot, or actually it is all the scripts where we shot. Sometimes we do little revisions. Network TV didn't work like that, even though we were on a network. Like, you don't necessarily know the last, maybe the first 3 scripts, but you don't know the next 12 or 20. Right? We had them. So we were able to plan narratively, creatively. And as we got into season 2, we started cross-boarding. Then season 3, we just totally cross-boarded, more cross-boarded after COVID.
What does cross-boarding mean? Just so
I'm
on.
You're shooting episodes out of order.
Wow.
You're not just shooting like 301 and 303.
I like trying to figure that out. I was like, did they stop filming and get them right at the same moment? So that's very cool to know.
Yeah. So that's so. I mean, it's also it creates some efficiencies, and also like if you're going to be in a set for 2 weeks, you don't want to. It's easier to not go 2 days and 3 days, unless it's a standing set, as we call it. Like I don't know what would be a standing set.
The bridge.
Medical bay, the bridge, right? That you can leave and it can stay. But sometimes in like the case of the shuttle bay, the shuttle bay becomes what we call a swing set. And we put other sets inside the shuttle bay because it's such a big space.
Wow.
Space is a premium. So sometimes you had to rebuild out the shuttle bay for another thing or another planet or something. And then you shoot there for 2 weeks. Then you got to clear that out. Now you got to go catch up on all those shuttle shots. So. But
if in a subsequent episode you were going to revisit that same planet,
you
could just shoot that right then.
That's right.
And take advantage of the set.
That's right. If it's over a couple episodes, we can knock them out for both 3, 4. That's kind of how you do it. And then, of course, when you make a mistake or you want to reshoot something, you put it back up.
That's what
happens. Being on a network or being on a major streaming channel does afford that luxury.
Yes, whether you want to or not.
Fair. That's kind of like a spilt milk philosophy, and that might be able to speak to another question I have. It's like, it is spilt milk, but like, how do you lead your amazing editing crew through something like that?
Well, we have. I'm not trying to disparage other. All shows are different. They have their own ecology. Seth is, and John Kassar and Howard, like the whole producing team. Lily and Awa. They're all good at like, if something's not working or we want to add something, either Seth will figure that out and then we'll figure out a way to build a blueprint in which to go do a pickup shoot or an additional shoot, or I'll come up with something, or one of our editors will say something to me and then we'll work it out together. I can't go into details, but there's some stuff that we realized after we got in the room, we realized that some additional photography would really make it more special and more intimate. So we wrote some lines. Well, he wrote some lines. I wrote some lines. He punched them up. We went back and we shot some pickups.
I love the tweet that you responded to where someone was talking about Muskas, that the stars were going one direction in one episode.
He's going to listen to this too. Love the guy.
I mean, yes, fair. But I would have never. I'm like, wait, but didn't the ship just turn around? I didn't understand until
I don't know. We messed up. You believe me?
Friggin' love your admonition to that. It's like also again, it's spilt milk,
no,
but it's also it's charming. I love that you responded to it. It was very cute.
You want to know something? I say this with love. Like, please, the opposite, not caring, no one caring. It's cold out there. You want to nitpick the show to death. You want to have fun with us. You want to be everyone. I mean, 99% of the fandom that I interact with is beyond respectful and funny and nice. And I don't care if they knock the show, as long as they're not like making personal digs at like crew people or cast and stuff. Like it's fine, tear it apart. Who cares? But
Can tell just how you interact and what you share that you not only like are like, yeah, I got a job in Hollywood, I'm making money. You like the show and you
I
like
do.
what the work you do on it, and it's really palpable in how you interact with people and what you share.
And
No,
that
and
was
obviously I get FOMO too. I mean, like there's shows I'd like to work on that may or may not have called me, but then I also know there's some people crazy enough to want my job. So it's
I
like,
love podcasting. It's not my end all be all, but like it's cool that I hear you is what I'm trying to say. I relate.
But yes, I am. When I take 5 seconds, and I do mean only 5, because between me and my therapist, yes, I am grateful.
But
We'll
between
talk to them
yourself
Exactly.
and the other people I've gotten to speak with and meet on the production, it seems like this is such a labor of love for
It
all
is.
of you, and it comes across. Can you talk a little bit about that, just about that and the culture and the
No.
what it means to put this show out?
Well, everybody who is here wants to be here, and that means something. And they're all fans of sci-fi. Some are obviously fans of Trek or other properties, but they all really want to work with or for Seth. They all really want to make something special, and they all really just enjoy what they do generally. And 99% of them are really good at it. I mean, I can start naming people, but I'll be here all day. I mean, Myri, our costume designer, is amazing. Brooke, Brandon, Eric, the whole VFX team. I mean, they're beyond compare. And
I got to
hurdles they go through.
compliment them on the ship. The pterodon is
Yeah.
really hot. I'm into it.
You got to see it, physically see it, right?
Yes, and I stopped myself from caressing it.
Well, that's fine.
I
mean,
didn't.
Actually, there was someone trying to stop people from caressing it, but I was like, no, it's okay. You can touch it. But no, but I mean, and I'm the art department, Stephen Lineweaver, production designer, Robert Strohmeyer, he's, I believe, senior art director. I always forget his exact title, but he's like right under Stephen. We had Doug Drexler this year, Kit Stolen, Lex Kassar, Daniel Sachs,
Brandon Fayette showed some
Brandon's
nice work.
in VFX. God, there's like a million people I'm not even like. That's what I hate start naming, because I don't want people to feel
Which
bad,
is, Seth mentioned the other night 500 individual rounds of applause for all the people he had to thank.
Yeah.
But truly and honestly, I think the number is 200 to 300 people that are
Yeah,
involved
about
in production.
It's about 300, not including vendors.
Not including vendors. Wow.
No, not including vendors.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And what is the is there sort of an attrition rate that you have to think about? Do people move on to other things?
Not really, unless you decide to shoot for a long time during COVID.
Okay, and that was a question I had when Seth was on the show. COVID aside, just the last 3 years, it doesn't seem like anybody from the cast was lost. From Jenny Turco and Lieutenant Dan, all the way up to Seth and
I mean, we
Adrian.
all lost our minds, but
Yeah, and the creative staff, I don't think has turned over much from what I've seen either.
No, and all of us wanted to stick it through. And by the way, a lot of things were outside of our control. So it's like this wasn't part of the plan. We were always going to be a long season. We shoot long. I mean, obviously the shows are ambitious. It was always going to be, I think we signed on for 13, expecting it to be, 14 to 16. By the time the world ended, it was probably around 15. And then, now we're like 3 years. But what are you going to do? So yeah, the answer is yeah. No, I mean, people. We were able to pretty much hold it together. Eventually, like, people need to go get jobs, or there's opportunities. Like, there's sometimes attrition towards the end, especially if like things get extended, because people got to work. So, if you got 3 weeks left on the Orville and someone comes along with a 9-month job, you might, you got to eat.
Well, and I think it just shows that people at companies working on projects with high levels of satisfaction, who are doing work that they love, don't leave. And I think that proof is in the fact that during a delayed season like this one, virtually everybody stayed, and that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think people were, it was difficult to weather the production, downtime. And that's a longer story for another day in terms of, because it's just, it's like a lot of minutia, but like, everyone hung in there, and we came back and we finally started rolling, and then we had to stop down again. But we everybody sort of, aside from having to dust off the sets and get everybody back. I mean, some of post and VFX was working for part of it, but we kind of picked up where we left off.
When was principal photography finished for this season?
August something. I think it was August
of 21.
Yes.
Okay. What's the other than COVID aside? What's kind of the weirdest thing you've had to is anything change when you and again, like you said, they rewarded your kind of extra efforts other than cutting with the title of co-producer, because it seems like you were probably taking initiative and doing things beyond the scope of your job. But what's kind of the craziest kind of thing that going from editing to producing that you thought, man, I never in a million years thought I'd have to deal with something like this?
I'm going to take some of those stories to my grave, or maybe ask me again after the season airs, and I can tell you. No, you end up being in the politics. Not the politics. That's the wrong word. You end up being in the people management business. You can't just be like, I'm going to go in my room and hide and do dailies. Now you're like, I have to manage this interpersonal crisis, not my own, or I have to manage, this where you have to sort of figure this out from a politics standpoint, and that's the kind of stuff you don't expect. It's suddenly you're a manager now,
I think it's good though that it's awesome that you said that they recognized that you were doing those things, so they made sure that you had a title bump. But also there is something to be said for advocating for yourself, because especially in this business, you can either be too accommodating and not get rewarded for that, or you can be just accommodating enough to be recognized for that. Yeah. So I think that's a compliment to you, I think.
Oh, thanks. Well, you get used to it. And want to know something? Like, some of the people I love and know in this business, like, they're impossible businessmen, but they're great people. And it's like, in business, it's like, nothing is sacred, no friendship. And the minute you finally come to like one of you breaks and you make the deal you make, you shake hands and you never talk about it again.
It has to be that way. It's
really weird. It's a weird dichotomy.
It has to be that way, and because it is like the agreement that we silently make and verbally make, that you have to make money. And so that, I mean, it's nice to have an agent negotiate that for you, but sometimes you have to be the one like, I'm actually going to get paid that, or advocate.
It ends up being a group effort too. My agent and I, he's great, but sometimes we have to team it from two sides, and he's seen it all too. But
and then there's always going to be something else that challenges it too. Like but it's in its own way. That's its own thing. You have to produce your life and a show at the same time too.
Right. And anyone who works in this town, producing the show. There's more time to do that. You spend more time in that than sometimes producing your life.
One of the first things Seth said is like, not surprising why marriages don't last in Hollywood. So so how's your love life?
It's I have very patient people at home.
I love that.
Who also understand
you need that.
What?
It's nice to you need that sometimes, the balance. So
no. It's thank the Lord, as I probably will be here late tonight. So.
And they'll be waiting for you.
So now that you've had some experience dealing with these interpersonal issues, other than your own, what has that kind of affected? What kind of leadership style you display or demonstrate or have adopted?
Oh yeah, well, you kind of learn by doing. I mean, I see leadership makes it sound like it's not. I'm not like running troops or anything. It's
sure, but it's just more of like serving your people.
Yeah, no, you try and do right by the people who work with you, for you, near you, as best as you can. And even if you can't like reward them at the first second, you trying to make sure they don't get off the job without some kind of service effort for their reward for their service. I'm a firm believer in bumping up AEs and doing all that. And, otherwise, what the hell are we here for if you're not mentoring or if you're not trying to help people move on? Especially, I know how hard it is to not have people help you. It feels terrible. So I try whenever possible not to replicate that for other people. I mean, sometimes I'm powerless to do so, but, It's not so that karmically I get it back, but it's just
And anybody responsible for your first big break out of college or your first big move out
Yeah,
into
actually,
showbiz?
yeah. Well, I mean, aside from my very patient family, two people who sort of helped me got into scripted. One was actually they're tied together. And I probably said this before, but my old boss Susan Zirinsky, who was president of CBS News, she also EP of 48 Hours. Used to call her my rabbi. She was coming out here, on a set visit because her daughter loves CSI Miami. And ironically enough, my future boss, which I didn't know at the time, Gina Lamar, who is an amazing director, producer, she worked on CSI, and she was like, "God, we're looking for an editor. We work along traditionally. We need somebody who can sort of like, be good with story and work with difficult footage and blah 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 blah." And my boss goes, "Well, you know what?" And next thing I know, I'm meeting Gina in a coffee bean on Robertson, and I got into the union, and that was my first scripted job.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Gina and both Susan have been very gracious to me all through that. I owe them my career, basically. So.
Well, I do think that I think this business, yes, there are plenty of people that you can work with that aren't the nicest people, but I feel like people can get a shot because they're good at what they do. But if you're not good to work with, you won't continue working. Getting that little leg up is wonderful. And then your work and your ethic speaks for itself, wouldn't you say?
Well,
self-congratulate yourself is what I'm saying.
No. I'll throw you one different is that, people can be grumpy. They can be, maybe they're not always, especially in this town, they're not always like, in a perfect space all the time because it's so stressful. But what is the gestalt of how they take care of you? What is the gestalt of what they do? And you know over time when you see who those people are, and those are the people you stick with. Not everybody's going to have a perfect day, especially in this town, especially where the planet is right now. But are they in your corner? Are they looking out for you without necessarily asking for something in return? And if you identify those people and they're doing that, those are the people you should hang on to. And
I think, go ahead.
It's fun to be around if you can.
I think so. And the Orville, I think, is indicative of that.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned the kind of the state of affairs, human affairs as we find them right now.
Yeah.
And we look at a universe like what is portrayed in the Orville. And part of what we dig into on our show is messages, morals, meanings, and what the show means to us and how we can kind of use that behavior and those decisions that are modeled to make better decisions, be better people, and help us get a little bit of yardage to get that better future. With the work that you do in producing the show, how involved, how important to you are these messages that get discussed, and just the overall kind of vision and view of the show? And science fiction isn't about the future, it's about us right now. So obviously we do a lot by allegory. We're not, we have a certain stylistic thing based on like our roots and all that, but obviously I'm a firm believer in science. I'm a firm believer in treating people equally. I'm a firm believer in never leaving someone behind. Everyone should be fed. Everyone should have medical. Everyone should
have a roof.
Have a roof. I know these are controversial themes sometimes.
Honestly, I can't believe it that you're saying that you're actually speaking about this.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going to say it. Maybe not. I don't know. Shooting kids. We don't ask for much, but so working in a show that believes in a future that I, as a child, believed in, because I wanted to be in NASA and I wanted to go explore space. And, for about 10 seconds, I wanted to be a biologist, but then I realized it was too dumb. So, it's important to me. So being able to work in a show that promotes that, and not that it's a utopia, because obviously there's a lot of struggles in the show and stuff, but one that is based in science and exploration and removes poverty and all that, that's my thing.
And the ideals in Star Trek and in the Orville, the ideals do win out, especially a couple hundred years from now. It is hopeful to watch most of the problems be interpersonal in a sense, because
exactly.
you're not. I did have a similar trajectory from you though too. I was like, I'm gonna do chemistry. I was good with an X-Acto knife, and then I went, I can play those people on TV instead.
Yeah. It's easier. It's easier to fake it till you make it.
So much easier.
But it's interesting you said that, because the other thing that you just made me think of is that, like, one thing I do like about the show is that they also, like, we take our job seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And I think that's reflected in the show too. Like, the crew takes their job seriously, but, like, not every, they don't take themselves seriously, and not everything's like needs to be, managed in,
life or death, or
and also, like, I'm not like sanctimonious and pompous, and like that's stuff I don't dig, and I feel like our show tries to go out of the way, or like if it's approaching that, at some point it will take the lack of a better word, piss out of itself.
So one of the
even
things,
in the trailer, we made fun of ourselves, which was our idea.
Totally. And when we discuss the ethical decisions that are made on the show and the leadership style, there's always that essence of vulnerability. That feedback is not only accepted and wanted, but valued, and even negative feedback, and it's not met with defensiveness. It's met with openness, and how can we do things better? And even your comment before about folks giving you feedback on the show itself is welcomed. And Ed Mercer's leadership style shows that on the show as well.
Oh, I know I never made that connection until you just literally said it. But and also, like, it is a symbiotic relationship. We're nothing without a fan base. So, like, I am actually of this belief that the fans do own the material to some degree. Maybe it's not 50-50, but, like, they do get a say, because without them, you're just broadcasting to a wall. So I might be in the minority, but.
Well, no, and I would love to actually, we have you for another 10 minutes, and I would love to unpack that. Well, I'm looking forward to having you back so that we can unpack something like that, because, like, I'm a fan of Wilco, and one of their songs talks about, like, the second you give it to the world, it's not yours anymore.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But there also is the toxic side of that, where you're like, you get, the Rise of the Skywalker, where a lot of people feel like you shouldn't have listened to. I actually feel that way. You're listening to the fanboys. I thought the movie was good, but you, like, how much should the Snyderverse should have been reinstated or something like that. Right. So it's just a weird balance that you have to find, I think.
Well, I think the trick is that, and this is, I'm not disparaging anyone, is that, like, I've seen it on all, like, sometimes the conversation is taken over by extreme wording, and I think we're very capable of not taking the nuances of a conversation that you have in real life. Like, Twitter boils it down to angry. And behind, I don't know, this is boiling it down myself, but left, right, or like this, someone who doesn't like a Star Wars product to someone who is overly defending it. Like, they both might have a point as to why, but, like, if you put them in a room and they discuss it, they might even have, like, a genial discussion about it. But sometimes you get on the web and it's like, I've seen people, like, go after me or fight on my timeline. I'm like, what are we doing? There's, like,
why? It's you're totally right. I was grateful enough to be on a panel. Yeah. And what was the panel? It was panel 4 Star Trek. We were talking about, like, the new age of Star Trek at the WonderCon. And my big platform is, like, everyone shut up. Stop using the Orville to say this is what Star Trek should be. Stop like the vitriol, etc. Because if you were in that room with this person that you disagreed with, you're not going to spit in their face. And in Twitter, you can do that proverbially. Anyway, I just agree with you. I want to talk more about it.
I agree with you too. I have friends, all over the political spectrum, and sometimes you have to, even if you don't respect, even though you don't agree with their view, unless it's like, once again, shooting children.
Correct.
You can agree to disagree, or you can find the cause root as to why they're feeling that way, and you can have an action, maybe affect change by discussing it with them. I don't know.
And loving someone is the quickest way to bridge understanding. And then disagreeing with someone in a healthy way is the quickest way to love somebody.
Well, sure.
If you go about it right.
And gaining that understanding, and, in celebration last year of what would have been Gene Roddenberry's 100th birthday, there was a quoting Gene Roddenberry podcast with 100 quotes. And one of them was, you disagree with me? That's great. Let's sit down and talk about it. Because I'm going to learn something from you, and hopefully you'll learn something from me, and then we'll both know more, and then maybe we can find some common ground. And that's really what's missing across the board.
That's a great quote. See, yeah, I think the minute we stopped talking to each other and started talking at each other, which I think social media does, I think we were doomed, because you know,
It's not a conversation.
It's not a conversation, and Twitter, you know, is not a conversation. There's been some nuanced things on Twitter that are great, but it's like some of it is it's you gotta get in each other's face. And
I saw Sarah Silverman turn around a misogynist in one fell swoop. Like, but that's also her deciding to expend energy at, and you can't do that for everybody. But I will say, in a hopeful sense, I was raised in a sort of closed-minded way, despite being from LA. And I remember when a lot of the conversations were just beginning on Facebook, and a lot of people were starting to talk about like white privilege and stuff. And as opposed to engaging, I was reading, as opposed to going, because my button was getting pushed and going, I'm not, like we tend to want to protect ourselves first before learning. I learned more by watching and reading and watch other people flail. And I think there's more people that read these bad comments and go, oh, I don't know if I like how that person's responding that I normally agree with.
Maybe I should change the way I approach this.
There are the people, we call them lurkers on Twitch chat. They don't interact, and they might be the more socially introverted, but we are changing opinions also, I think, just by existing, being like Seth, who's like, okay to say I screwed that up, or being like you, like, hey, how can I just talk to you about this? Yeah. I would like to agree. I think that we can all be the change just by existing as nicely as possible and exemplifying.
I'm not trying to simplify it. I don't think talking is going to solve everything, but I think we got to start somewhere.
I agree.
Yeah, and Tom, you hit the nail on the head when you said we have to talk to each other and not at each other. Yeah. We want to be respectful for your time. And I got a question for you. We got the Orville New Horizons going to premiere on June 2nd on Hulu in the United States.
Oh, that's why we're here.
Disney Plus.
God. Well, you can edit some things out.
Sure.
I mean, if it's really, okay. If you want to talk, I can stay a while longer. I don't know if you cut it off at an hour or what you want.
Oh, no. That's but we got
it's
Disney.
More being respectful.
We didn't talk about the show. We should probably talk about the show.
I don't know. Everyone's talking to you about the show. Let's just talk. I'm going to let Mike ask the question.
It's so boring. Oh, God, it's so boring.
Yeah, it's so.
I thought you were going to do some. I thought now I'm just a waste of 45 minutes to you.
Get out! I hate
No. This has been phenomenal. Obviously you cannot say anything about season 3 specifically, but the Orville New Horizons. Excuse me. What can you tell us about it at this point?
Well, it's funny because you have seen the first episode.
Oh yeah, we have, and I need to see them all.
Too, right?
I need to see all of them in IMAX now.
We have access to 3.
Yeah, access to 1 and 3. That was the, and I mean, it's been my life for 3 years, so it's I think it's an excellent continuation of where we've been before. I think in some ways. It's maybe there's a little bit of a tonal shift that I think some people will probably take some issue with and some won't. I don't know. I'm proud of it. I'm a little too close to it almost to give it a fair answer, but I think if you're a longtime fan, you'll get rewarded for sticking through and because we're 26 episodes in, we're able to layer storylines and some other things, and obviously we brought production value. But I also think if you're a newbie and you watch this as the only season, you might need a second to just catch up, but it's all there. And I think you'll love some of the episodic stuff. And
that tonal shift that you mentioned, is that the result of maturation of the show, or the change to Hulu, combination of everything?
Yeah, it wasn't really a change to Hulu, and it's not really a tonal shift. It's just we're able to be a little more emotionally connected to stuff. It's like we're able to tackle some bigger themes, and
Take
it's not all. It's not. I mean, as much as we love him, it's not all. It's not all peeing off the side of a cliff. Not that I don't love Geloja, because I the hell do.
Hey man,
and they earned that. You guys earned that episode.
Yeah, and there's some episodes which are still percolating that are very funny. And there's funny bits. It does not in any way abandon its core or its roots, but they're more featurey now, so it breathes, and it's a little bit of a different animal. while still seeming just like the show. I mean, tell me if I'm crazy. You saw it.
No, we saw it. It seemed like we mentioned before that blurring of lines between feature films and television on streaming is really captured in this project, I think.
Right, but not to put you on the spot, it's still on brand, right?
100%.
Okay.
My opinion is
no, seriously. You can tell. This is the point where you can tell me I saw. Like seriously.
This is my opinion.
Yeah.
It's even an improvement. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It was.
Great.
It's,
Thank God.
Well, no, because I'm one of those people personally who's like, I can't dissect Community. I love Community. We talk about Community all the time on the show. I'm not going to tell you season 6 sucks because it's still some things I like watching.
Well, if you're not going to tell us season 6 sucks, can you give us your season 7 pitch?
No, but my point is I don't.
What about season 4? The season I did not get hired on.
Oh well, screw them.
Yeah,
but my friend,
season, right?
It was the what? People think of season 4 was the crappy season. 4, yeah. My friend was a guest star on one of those episodes, so I can't say that out loud. Sure. But I'm sorry on your behalf. My point being is, all I want to do is watch Penny Gerald Johnson. All I want to do is watch Mercer, and I want to see if maybe Kelly and Ed are gonna kiss. So like, if I get 10 minutes more of this show, that's going to be awesome for me. And what I can say without revealing storyline is getting to sit with the characters and watch them experience an emotion as opposed to tell us how they're feeling was an enjoyable, wonderful experience.
That okay. So you said it better than I, so I'm just going to shut the hell up.
Yeah, it was 25 minutes.
What?
I was going to say it was about 25 minutes longer than a 43 minute episode was, and the time that was taken to let you emote with the characters was so worthwhile. Incredible.
Well, that's amazing. Well, here's the thing: is that season 1 was 43 minutes standard broadcast. They did us a favor and gave us 48 in season 2.
Wow.
Now we're in sort of that trend of other streaming shows. We're not like Stranger Things. There's no 2.5 hour episode. That's a Marvel length feature, but we got a couple of 80-minuters, and we got some 60-minuters.
And I'm going to be thrilled when I watch those episodes.
And some of the scenes are, like you go through a battle scene. We're not sitting around, like people aren't taking like long thoughts and pauses. There's still battle scenes. There's still, cut out, but if we need people to act, we let them act. We're letting the actors do their jobs. And we're blessed with a great cast who can act and also emote and also make jokes. So they get to do it now without us trying to make a runtime.
And the audience benefits truly.
Yeah.
I am the one who actually has to run, but this is why it's less respectful out of you. I just made it seem like we were respectful of your time. But I asked Seth this. I would love to ask you this too. If you could summarize the entirety of season 3 into one word, just one word, what would it be?
The first word that came to mind was epic.
Ooh. I love that. David Goodman kept on saying barn burner, barn burner, barn burner.
I know, he loves barn burner. I'll give you one more, maybe.
Okay.
Satisfying.
Ooh.
Oh, that's well, from what I've seen from episode 1 of New Horizons, it definitely was epic. Where any other projects you're working on you want to let our listeners know about coming down the pike, or this has been kind of all consuming?
No, it's all consuming. My father-in-law is in the business, and he's working on some fun stuff that I'm kind of helping him out with. Some I don't even know if I could talk about it. So, but just other than that, no, I am all Orville all the time, and then whatever time is left, I can maybe see the sunshine.
I think people following you on Twitter though will not be disappointed. I think that's the easiest thing to say.
Yeah. So your Twitter handle is just your name. If
yeah,
it's just follow me. You there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Instagram.
And or Instagram as well. Okay, outstanding. Well, we cannot thank you enough for your time. This has been an absolute pleasure. It was wonderful to meet you the other night. Awesome. Everybody for the last month or so has been talking about how much fun it's going to be to sit down and chat with you, and it did not disappoint. Truly. And thanks for being such a good friend of the show.
Weirdos, but
oh my God! All right, well, thank them. Whoever they are, thank them. They lied, but thank you.
Some people from Roddenberry and some people from the Orville as well did not disappoint. Thank you for being such a good friend of the show. You've been sharing our feed and stuff for several months. Stuff.
I'm so happy to be here. This is so much fun.
Well,
thanks, Tom.
We cannot thank you enough.
Let's wrap it out, Mike.
Mission Log The Orville is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, technical production by the indestructible Earl Green. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcasts.roddenberry.com.
You can join us next time on Mission Log The Orville as we discuss Season 3, Episode 1, Electric Sheep. This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.